So today I'm joined by three gentlemen who are sitting around me, and I'm going to let them each introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves to set the scene. So over to Lauli Bakey.
Hi, and thank you for having me. So, my name is Lauli Bakey for everybody watching. I'm 30. I am a CEO and co-founder of Economic Street, which is a edtech platform specializing in financial literacy, just trying to empower people to become more financially literate. Also an accountant by background and an economist. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. We try. Nigerians.
And so I'm just going to turn over to my right and ask Sam, tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Thanks, Rebecca. My name's Samuel Iramaran. 28 years old. Been married for just over 2 years. I'm a senior business analyst and project manager in consulting. I specialize in data analytics. I'm also musical director for a worship collective called SLW, the Spirit-Led Worshippers. We've been doing that for 12, 13 years or so. And I also serve as a pastor in Salem International Christian Center.
So you're extremely busy and extremely talented leader. That's great. So they're going to bring their perspectives. And today we're going to be talking about women. So it's quite a unique opportunity to hear from three men of various backgrounds and diverse, histories to find out a bit about their views of women. And so let's find out from the men on the streets, the men in business, the men in church. Let's find out what they think. So let's find out, to start with, what you think about identity. So address the daughters, we teach women that knowing who you are is important. Knowing whose you are, that you're a daughter of the king, is really important. What do you all think about that? Do you think it's important to know who you are as a woman?
So my personal belief in it is, at first, it's important to understand by election. Yes, you can know who you are in terms of who you were born to be, in your destiny, in your vision, but it's also important to understand that by election, God has chosen each and every one of us. We are special in his eyes, and he has called us for a time such as this to be light on the earth. So part of your identity is the fact that you are a daughter of the Most High God. Whether you like it, whether you want to or not, he loves you first. Then secondly, we are worshippers, which is our response to his goodness towards us. And then after that, we can then find our identity in terms of, I am a creative, I do this, I do that. All of that stuff is very important. But first, start with the fact that he has called you out of darkness and into his marvelous light.
Wow, that's amazing. So we are loved and we are chosen, and that's an important message that we like to communicate to women. But how do we know if a woman knows who they are? What are some of the signs and indicators that a woman that you meet in a relationship or at work or in your family, how do you know if they are aware and conscious and living out their identity?
For me, one thing that I always look for is a quiet confidence. Just that assurance internally of who they are, who they've been called to be, and most importantly, how that is tied into their relationship with God. So those are what I really look for at the onset, and it's quite easy to actually spot these things because it becomes reflective on an external basis, on an outward basis. So yeah.
Just touching on that, what are some of the ways that it becomes reflective? Just tell us a little bit about how you would know that somebody actually knows who they are and they have that quiet confidence that you mentioned. How would you visualize that? How would that come across?
For me personally, the way it comes across is just even how they walk. Number one, how they carry themselves, and even two, it's also reflective in how they dress. So for me, that's how I would begin to actually pick up on those signs to begin with.
Great, that's really helpful. So it's reflective in their external presentation of themselves as well. And so just wondering a bit more about what Sam mentioned in terms of being daughters of the King, daughters of the Most High. There are some people out there that may not be Christian, they may not be saved. I happen to be, and some of the panel, or all of the panel happen to be also. But there may be those watching who aren't saved, they aren't Christian, they don't know Christ, they don't know that they are daughters of the King. How do you think those women come across, and what are the issues they have with their identity? So there's this stereotype of I'm a queen, you know, out there in the social media. We see all the memes about being a queen. What are some of the identity issues that surround the queen mentality?
That's a really deep question. I would say that they will come across as there's a thirst in all of us. So there's a quest to look for what we are, what we're meant to do in this world. So I would say those women, they will try things so that they can be men. So go through different men to find themselves, find certain recognition in men, or in their pairs. So as a woman, so they will look into other women and say, okay, I want to be like her. I want to be like that woman, like Beyoncé, like Kim Kardashian. They will try to find a model to reflect themselves. That's what I would say.
That's really, really good. Thank you. Sam, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And great points. I think generally, I guess I'll start with the reverse. When you think of kingdom, you think of a king having authority over a particular domain or a land. When I think of queens, I think the exact same thing. So I think the narrative of someone who is able to own themselves, whether that be own themselves in business, whether that be what's inside coming out, expressing that creatively, expressing that through family, expressing that through church, just different forms of manifestation and expression, but always in somebody being able to carry themselves well. I think outside God, it's done. It's definitely done. I would just say that from my angle, I think it can be really difficult because you may not necessarily know where the bar is or what you're shooting for. You know, you can take the particular attribute in a person, the Kim Kardashians, the Beyoncés, and say, I want to do that because that's what a queen does. But Beyoncé is in her own lane doing her thing. So that's what a queen looks like in her lane. If you're not in her lane, it's actually hit and miss for you to try to identify yourself. Yes, you can pick attributes, but for you to identify yourself in somebody else's lane and say, I want those attributes to make you a queen, it's hit and miss for you to actually be able to, whereas in Christ, we have a standard across everybody. So because of that, you can always aim for that standard without necessarily trying to choose, pick and mix from different people.